Now, I understand the title of this video might upset some people, and I want to be clear, I'm not apologizing. However, please bear with me because by the end of this video, I firmly believe that 99% of those initially offended by the title will find themselves provoked by the harsh truth I'm about to share. Eventually, many of you may be so moved that you will have no choice but to agree with me, even though you might express your frustration strongly. Just wait and see. As the saying goes, only the truth shall set you free. Now let's dive into the heart of this thought-provoking video. Who will deliver the black race from this crass idiocy and indolence? I repeat, who will deliver the black race from this crass idiocy and indolence? Ghana, the former Gold Coast, was the first African country to gain independence from colonial rule. The country gained independence on March 6, 1957, after several years of non-violent resistance against British colonial rule. It was a time for celebrating Africa's coming of age as more and more African countries received their independence either from Britain or France. It was especially a poignant time for Africa. There was high hopes for Africa, for the black race. The insidious imposition of foreign rule on us, looting of Africa's natural resources by our colonial masters accorded us will be things of history. It's over 66 years now that all African countries gained their independence, but unfortunately the promise of independence has not been fulfilled. Today, Africa has become more desolate. There is more starvation, diseases, and non-provision of essential services than when we got our independence. There are all kinds of wars in Africa than the rest of the world put together. The majority of so-called African leaders want to stay in power until the day their bodies are put in the grave. Through buffoonery, utter mismanagement, and downright stealing of the wealth of the masses, these leaders have so impoverished Africa that we are now nothing but a beggar continent. We beg for everything. We are more dependent on our colonial masters than when we received our independence from them. Africa owes the West more money than we and our generations to come can pay. I have watched with horror and outright helplessness as the downward spiral of the African race continues to escalate. Let's take slavery for instance. We attribute everything that has happened to the black race to slavery. We delude ourselves about African kingdoms which have thrived before the onslaught of first the Arabs and later the white-skinned folks. We talk about the pyramids of Egypt, the great empire of Mali, and the learning capital of Timbuktu. Yes, I'm constrained to agree that these were great legacies that our ancestors left us, but one cannot deny that in the middle passage of the 19th century, we stopped functioning as a people with intelligence and the instinct to defend ourselves. In the 17th century, more than 36 million African men and women were taken into slavery and to the shores of America. Of that 36 million, more than 18 million died in the transatlantic crossings. Listen, don't get me wrong. We are talking of over 36 million African men and women who were rounded up by a handful of white-skinned men, and our ancestors could not do much to stop the onslaught. This is just a small group of white men coming into our midst, and we ran helter-skelter without any defense to stop the rape and incarceration of our kings and queens. Am I supposed to take delight in telling this story, which we as a people have done nothing to stop from happening again, and which is in fact even happening at greater frightening speed than the 17th century? The black race is a slave. Pure and simple, an economic slave. I'm frightened and disgusted at the same time at a people who produce nothing and consume everything that others produce. We are always ready to make excuses about the inventions and products our people have perfected in long gone eras, but which have been stolen from us. And the ones who stole them have gone on to become very rich. This is nothing but an excuse for our failures. Africa, the poorest continent on this earth, with most natural resources, consumes everything as well and produces nothing. We embrace technology and hardly understand how it works. Unlike the Japanese and Asians who buy products from the West, disassemble them and find out how these products work and go on to build a better one, most of us hardly know or understand how these products work. Let us not delude ourselves. Our work ethics leave a lot to be desired. We prefer the comfort of our guaranteed jobs to the adventure of deciding our own future. We prefer others to establish the company so that we can come and cry racism when they refuse to hire us. Why can't we establish the company, let others come and cry racism for us not hiring them? Now, this video is not about separatism. It does not involve asking for a separate land area for black people. It does not involve asking all white people to get out of Africa. It does not involve asking others to stop doing business in our neighborhoods. It is not about calling people names. It is not about taking up arms to slaughter innocent people. However, if we agree to biblical teaching that all men are created equal, then it behoves on us to understand that being a human means matching brain power for brain power with our conquerors. Damn, I feel so ashamed using that word. Everywhere you go now in Africa, the craze is for smartphones. The saddest thing is that the people don't know or understand how they work. No country in Africa has its own well-recognized manufactured telecommunications product. But for a people who are intelligent, the best way of proceeding will be to take this product, disassemble them, find out the components, and put their engineers to work to attempt to replicate the original product and make it globally competitive. Failure is never an option. I admire the Jews immensely. They have used their brains to conquer the world in every facet of life. Through their brain power, they control how the world thinks. They are the experts in everything in this world. Their brain power has made them financial barons of the world, the real estate moguls of the world, the titans of industry in every category. Similarly, Indians have a totally integrated community. They are like spiders which have spawned the yarns, and any fly that dares enter into them will never come out alive. They have developed what is called spiderweb economic doctrine. The Indians don't eat any food other than their own. They don't spend any of the money they make from other communities other than in their community. You can see why they have easily been able to gobble up so many sectors of the American economy. The secret to the Indian success is cooperativeness and their living arrangements. When an Indian comes to America from his homeland, he is immediately taken in by a relative who also provides him with a job on one of the myriad businesses owned now by Indians. Even if he brings 20 people, they will live in the same cramped quarters until they have pooled their resources together to buy another business from which the first individual will be able to buy his own home. One of the greatest drawbacks to black people's march to promised land of wealth and money is our lack of discipline and persistence in the face of adversity. We lack discipline and persistence and the killer instinct in pursuit of excellence. But a white man would rather break his leg or bones in his body so that he could climb Mount Himalayas. He is focused, he is determined, he is not going to let anything deter him until he achieves his goals. Though we have our own heroes who have traversed the valley of danger in search of excellence and have come out ahead. That's for the few and can be compared to the Caucasians who majorly embodies discipline. In Africa, we are totally undisciplined. We have leaders who are not ruthless with themselves in pursuit of excellence, but who are quick to being ruthless to their citizens. Africa has been a disgrace to most of its greatest admirers. The promise of independence, which was supposed to usher in a period of prosperity and economic growth, has not happened. Rather, Africa has been mired in all kinds of indescribable disorderliness. Today, Africa's debt to the world stands at over $1.8 trillion. This is the money that the Western world has irresponsibly lent to Africa with no hope that they will ever have the funds to repay. And what they did with all that money can only be imagined. You can't visibly see the advantages of all that money, either in infrastructures or technological advancements. With the exception of South Africa, Egypt, and probably Sudan, there is no place in Africa that major military equipment are manufactured. Yet more people are daily being killed in Africa with the weapons of destruction manufactured in Europe, Russia, America, and Japan. This is where the intelligence of the black man comes into question. A people who don't know how the guns they use came into being, its design, its mechanism, or its manufacture should fight with the weapons they know how to manufacture, the machete, the bows, and arrows. There are more Mercedes-Benz and BMWs per person in Africa than in Germany where the cars are manufactured. There are more mansions for so-called leaders where there is no electricity, clean water, or good road. The total money that Africans have in Swiss bank accounts could be more than 25% of the total money left in Swiss banks. Everywhere you look in Africa, it is the intelligence of the white-skinned man versus the indolence of the black man. It is stupidity versus intelligence. Blacks are economic slaves. There is no group of people in this world who have abandoned any ambition of being economically independent from the grip of others as a black race. Whether Africans from the continent or Africans from the diaspora, black Americans, Caribbeans, or migratory Africans, we are more slaves now than when the white men conquered us and sold us into slavery. There is virtually nothing in Africa that is owned by the people. In fact, I believe that the only possession in the world that the black race could lay ownership to is the free air we breathe, and that may be in question and jeopardy if the present trend of consolidation of our conquerors continue. There is no black entity that is economically independent in any part of the world. Africa is the second largest continent in the world. It has been established that it was the cradle of humanity and civilization. Africa possesses the largest percentage of the world's natural resources: gold, diamonds, silver, uranium, plutonium, manganese, coal, oil, etc. But unfortunately, Africa is today economically underdeveloped. The fact is that none of the natural resources Africa is blessed with is under Africa's control. We don't even understand the value of the natural resources we possess. Otherwise, we will know how to cultivate them. If we did, we will own the avenues through which these products are brought to be utilized in the world. The United Nations has year in, year out declared Africa as the world's poorest continent despite its enormous natural resources. The fact is that the world is moving so fast that black people stand a chance of being annihilated. Let's take a country like Nigeria, for instance, the once upon a time giant of Africa, the leader of the black world. Nigeria is considered the 10th largest oil producing country in the world. Nigerians pride themselves as one of the most educated people in the world. It has all kinds of engineers, including petroleum and geological engineers. Oil was discovered in Nigeria in 1948, but you know what? Nigeria still imports refined oil at exorbitant rates. Till today, it does not have engineers who prospect for the oil, it does not have engineers who drill for the oil, it does not have engineers who refine the oil. It imports the oil. If you are talking of a state of black economy, you have to talk about the people who are able to create products from its inception to market. You cannot talk of an economy where the people are mere consumers. In the black community, all the products they use are produced by other people. That's not an economy. Now, here is a lesson we should learn. When the white men needed slaves to work in their farms, they made the blacks their machines. When they found these machines much slower, they invented the horse-drawn plow and they became superfluous. When they found the cold unbearable, they invented the heating systems. When they found the summer heat unbearable, they invented the air conditioner. When they needed a way of talking to one another without visiting each other, they invented the telephone. When they stopped the practice of town crier, they invented the radio. When they found writing with pens too slow, they first invented the typewriter and now the computer. When they needed to get to a destination faster than riding on the horse, they invented the automobile. They invented the ship to be able to cross wide expanses of water. When a need arose to get somewhere even faster, the Wright brothers came to the rescue and invented the airplane. When they needed the world to connect with each other in real time, they invented the social media. What has blacks created originally or invented that is highly recognized and globally competitive today? Every other people of color, the Japanese, the Chinese, the Indians, assuming white is not a color, have appropriated all the technology and made them their own. In fact, they have learned so well that they produce these products better than the people who originally invented them. This is the mark of intelligence. The movement to restart the black economy must be planned with absolute focus, with each individual focusing on how he can contribute to making it a reality. Go to the homes of Africans. Virtually all the household items you will see are not produced in Africa. If any was produced in Africa, the materials used for that production was imported. One thing is certain, Africans like to dance, they like to party, they like to sing. They have enriched the world with all kinds of music, all kinds of dance steps, hip-hop, high life, jazz, rock and roll, etc. You name it in the music world, they invented it. So far as it concerns music, we are there. You will believe that the people who are so much into music and singing, who have factories producing guitars or any of the other musical equipment, you will think that they will own companies that distribute this music. You will think that they will control the distribution system of their music. But as usual, Africans take the back seats and let others control them. Let me describe the black illusion of success. The black illusion of success is measured by the kind of car we drive, from Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Rolls-Royce, Lamborghini, Bentley, Range Rover, Lexus, etc. Africa loves the luxury lifestyle. This is a continent which has been declared the poorest continent. This is a continent which has been unable to provide basic necessities to its citizens. Good roads, pipe-bomb clean water, good light, good healthcare, or even good governance. And yet all around it, you see cars upon cars of luxuries. In Nigeria, for example, you find people who drive a 300 million 2022 Range Rover or a 400 million Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon, yet the road leading to their house is pothole infested. Africans have the mindset of live for today, let tomorrow take care of itself and be damned. Africans are considered the most loyal to product brands. It's a herd mentality, whereas in politics or business, people know the black mentality. Because of this herd mentality, companies discount Africans when it comes to advertising campaigns. Blacks are considered afterthoughts or to fulfill certain so-called quotas. Black will always buy our products, whether we market to them or not, has been the confidential report to many companies. Fortunately for them, blacks prefer to buy top of the line. Anything that costs a lot of money is considered the best. It is a status symbol. Black illusion of success are also translated in drinking, partying, and enjoyment. Africans love to drink all sorts of drinks, especially the status symbol drinks, from Azul, tequila, Heineken, etc. They think drinking Heineken shows that they are successful. It is a drink of success. It is a status symbol to be seen drinking Heineken. We spend millions of dollars drinking Heineken. Heineken doesn't give a damn. They don't consider blacks as a market they should go after. They believe that whether they cut the market or not, blacks will always drink Heineken. After the Holocaust, where more than 6 million Jews died, the Jews said never again. But after more than 36 million Africans were captured and taken into slavery, 18 million of whom died in cross-Atlantic voyage, the black race has never said never again. The Jews deserve the respect of the world because nothing has been given to them. They had to get what they want. Nobody was willing to give them slack. They earned it, and they have the respect of the world. Never disrespect them. The Jews have no illusion of success. They know they have a lot of enemies because of their intelligence and brilliance. People are jealous of the Jews because they have a mindset that says, I will accomplish what you can never dream of accomplishing, whether you stand in my way or not. Your wishes and dreams are not my wishes and dreams. I will not play in your theater according to the script you have written. Even if I play in your theater, it will be according to the script I have written, and I will write a script such that there is no way you can turn it down. Take it or leave it. If you take it, I will help you to make it a success. If you turn it down, I will build my theater, play my script, and put you out of business. That's the mentality of a Jew. And that's the only way you get respect, because you built a solid foundation which no man-made or natural disaster can uproot. In most African countries, there is no good drinking water, no good roads, no electricity, no good healthcare. Every country in Africa is supposedly independent, but African country is still under the yoke of colonialism. Africans depend on Europeans for all their needs. It is a joke and the height of stupidity to claim to be independent when you depend on your oppressors for everything you use. It is a well-known fact that a group which cannot protect itself economically will always be a slave to others. It is even more certain when the group arrogates to itself the status of being the most educated immigrant group in the US. Yes, according to the US Census Bureau, the African immigrant group is the most educated immigrant group in the United States. It means more educated than the Japanese, Chinese, the Koreans, the Indians, or even the Europeans. It means we possess more first degrees and subsequent degrees than any other group. It means we have within the African immigrant groups individuals with more professional degrees, medical doctors, engineers, economists, scientists, and others in various fields. But the question is, what has our being the most educated immigrant group done for us or for our people? Well, to say the least, and to be really magnanimous, the answer is absolutely nothing. Well, with all the education, you would have thought that we will be in the same position economically than the so-called groups which are below us in education have attained. Rather, we behave like economic illiterates than the educated ones. We are ashamed of who we are and what we are. We condemn everything African or black because we suffer from an inferiority complex. We would rather do business with another person than do business with our own group. We would rather enrich another community than make investment in ours by patronizing one another. Africans cannot produce the pins they use, the needles to sew, the chalk, pencil or pen to write with. We do not produce the radio we listen to. We do not produce the television we look at. We do not produce the cars we drive. We do not produce the guns we use in killing one another. We do not produce the bulbs we use in lighting our homes. We do not produce the smartphone gadgets we use. The money we use, we do not produce the machinery used in engraving them. If not for the Europeans, we will still be using hoes in farming. All the modern agricultural equipment are made by other people for Africans. African women pride themselves being beautiful, but the body lotion they use is imported. We do not produce the lipstick they use in coloring their lips in all kinds of colors. We do not produce the underwear we all wear. We do not produce the deodorant they use. We do not produce the hair attachment they use in braiding their hair. It is mostly imported from Korea and China. We do not produce the artificial nails they use in lengthening their nails. They are also imported from Korea and China. Africa has lots of diamond and gold, yet the jewelry our women and sometimes our men wear, though the raw materials are from Africa, the final products are produced in Europe, Japan, Korea, China, and even Russia, and sent back to us at exorbitant prices. Our women like to look like the white women. They believe the men prefer them to look white-skinned anything but black. As a result, they bleach themselves with all kinds of dangerous alloy-based whitening creams. Initially, these dangerous products lighten their skin, but eventually it begins to peel their skin and cause all kinds of skin disease, which is not only dangerous to themselves, but nauseating to look at. They develop blotches on their face when the sun comes out. You can smell the nauseating odor on their body from miles away. These lightening cream products are not produced in Africa. It is pathetic to note that more than 60 years after the first African country got its independence, all our clothing is still imported from abroad, notably Europe, China, and Asia. In the 90 to more than 100 degrees weather of Africa, you are not considered to have dressed properly unless you are wearing a suit. The suits are not even produced in Africa. The yarns for the suit clothing are made in Europe or Hong Kong. The thread is made in Europe. The needle is made in Europe. The tailors are either Europeans or Asians. Even when Africans have condescended to wear their own flowing robes, all the textile materials are also imported. In fact, the lace which our women like so much is imported. The George is made in Holland. How can a race of people be happy in life when they know that they are totally dependent on others for all their needs? It is extremely necessary that we take a few minutes, hours, days, or months to ponder the intelligence of a race who cannot produce the basic things of life that are needed for their survival and how to depend on those who have oppressed them for years to come to their aid. In Africa's military, we do not produce the uniforms our soldiers wear. We do not produce the guns our militaries use. We do not produce the ammunition used in loading the guns. We do not even know how the mechanisms work. We do not produce the automatic weapons they use. Neither do we produce the tanks. We do not produce the bombs they use. We do not even know about the workings of a helicopter, an aircraft bomber, or even the jet fighters. Don't you just feel like crying when you know that the white man has been able to develop weapons and technology capable of detecting the minutest details of what we are doing, even in our homes? And yet our so-called military, which continues to cause so much havoc all over the continent, cannot even assemble an ordinary gun or the ammunition that go with it. The collective irresponsibility of a race is what is so astonishing. Europeans came to Africa in the 1600s. They had already possessed the gun. Black people were still using the bow and arrow. Millions of black people were killed and millions more were taken as prisoners. They were brought as slaves to the shores of America. Now we are in the 21st century. The intelligence of a race comes into question when, after more than 500 years, the descendants of the people who were conquered still rely on the same enemy who killed millions of their people and took millions prisoners and slaves. I question my own intelligence when I know that there's absolutely nowhere else in the hemisphere, with the exception of South Africa, where blacks produce guns. In America, blacks kill more blacks than others, yet there is not one gun factory owned by blacks in America. How can a race of people sleep at night or face their conscience in the knowledge for making guns to defend themselves in case of future confrontations? If it was not so tragic, it would be so comical to see Africans slinging automatic weapons on their shoulders and boasting about seizing this territory or that territory. Africa's military is a joke, period. The sooner they realize that, the better for the black race. They should lay down all the imported guns that they use to terrorize people. There should be a law that says that if you cannot produce the gun that you are using to kill millions of your fellow brothers and sisters, then you are not qualified to carry such a weapon. We should go back to using bows and arrows until we have found a method to duplicate the same weapon of destruction that the Caucasians continue to use to destroy us through the back door of supplying those weapons to us. Black dependency on the rest of the world to continue to solve its problems cannot continue. We want to be spoon-fed with every damned product. We don't find it shameful that others produce and we do the consumption. What has to be said must be said. Only the truth can set us free. Blacks have conditioned themselves to the status of economic slaves and illiterates. We lack understanding of economic history or business techniques. We are like magnets attracted to our oppressors. The more we are oppressed, the more we gravitate to the individuals or group doing the oppressed. We play the victim game, always the victim and never the oppressor. From the time the white men came to Africa in the 1600s till now, we are always the group to offer hospitality to our conquerors. And even at this late hour, we seem to lack the intelligence necessary to examine the ramifications of our actions since then. We are rooted to our basic victim instinct. Accept the oppressor in your midst. Make him extremely comfortable. Give him all your respect and all your possessions. Create an aura of invisibility around him. Accept his mistreatment, disrespect, looting of your possessions, disrespect of your women, but then turn around to complain about his unfairness. Today in Africa, if you are a white man, you are God's incarnate. If you are European, Asian, and of course American and Canada, excluding the blacks of course. If you are one of these groups, you are accorded the respect and worship reserved for God. Being seen in the company of white-skinned persons accords you an instant respectability and credibility. It accords you intelligence. If you want to be successful, bring in a white partner. If you have been having difficulty securing a contract, send in your new partner and then you have easy ride. The highest powers whose secretaries will not even accept your cause will be happy to meet with a partner. He will be invited to functions you will not dream of being invited to, and you may have to tag along with him if you wanted to be accorded and associated with respectability and credibility. Even the amount of bribe demanded from you will decrease at least by 20% because you are now considered trustworthy. I'm really pondering many people's beliefs that today's white master black slave mentality started when the white man came to Africa with a Bible and gun, and the Arabs came with the Quran. We had our own beliefs in the Supreme Being, the creator of all things. In everything we did, we called upon the Supreme Being to bless us and the event that was to take place. But when the Caucasians came, we were easily convinced that our God was not the right God. We were heathens, we were told. We were unbelievers. Our names were not good enough. Today, if you want to be a Christian, you have to answer to an English name. You have to be John, Paul, Peter, Michael, Charles, Anthony, or any of the other names you have to answer before becoming a Christian. I've never seen a white man answer to an African name despite the fact that some of them had lived or were born in Africa. They are not a conquered people. So why would they want to answer African names? They don't value our culture and history. The conquered people must be made to change their names in favor of the conqueror. Today, I see Christians, especially priests, insisting upon these foreign names in the belief that a person cannot be regarded true Christian without answering to English or French names. I have read through the Bible and have not found where it says that answering to a particular name is necessary to become a Christian, yet it was a condition that the churches adopted to force Africans to abandon their historical and cultural names. If you want your children to be successful, you have to send them to British schools if you are from former British colonies, to French schools if you are from former French colonies. The highest honor is accorded to them if they will speak the language with British or French accent. It will even accord them higher dignity if they let everyone know they had forgotten how to speak their own native tongue. African culture is faced with extinction. A case in point is this video I'm shooting using English rather than my own language, Igbo. Africa will be the first continent to totally lose its cultural affiliations within the next 100 years or less. The Chinese, the Japanese, the Indian, Pakistan, the Arabs will all continue to maintain their culture through their language, spoken and written. The total destruction of the black race as a people started a long time ago and has accelerated with the advent of technology, while the Japanese, Chinese, Indians and Pakistanis have acquired nuclear weapons technology, and they did it using their own respective languages. We must know this: a people without a language or culture is doomed to utter extinction. When a race is able to discern their attempt to annihilate their culture and history, but rather chooses to do nothing but continue with the practice, then that race is truly stupid. Selah. If you got value from this video, kindly hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm to share it more. Together, we can change the mentality of the black race. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed, turn on the post notification, and share with all black folks. This video was inspired by a book called The Capitalist Nigger by Chika Onyano. My name is Benzik, and I'll see you again next time. Cheers.